gospel lesson comes from Mark 10, verses 35 through 45. James and John, Zebedee's son, came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask." "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked. They said, "Allow one of us to sit on your right and the other on your left when you enter your glory." Jesus replied, "You don't know what you're asking. Can you drink the cup I drink or receive the baptism I receive?" "We can," they answered. Jesus said, "You will drink the cup I drink and receive the baptism I receive. But to sit at my right or left hand isn't mine to give. It belongs to those for whom it has been prepared." Now when the other 10 disciples heard about this, they became angry with James and John. Jesus called them over and said, "You know that the ones who are considered the rulers by the Gentiles show off their authority over them, and their high-ranking officials order them around. But that's not the way it will be with you. Whoever wants to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wants to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but rather to serve, and to give his life to liberate many people."
Lord, may the meditations of my heart and the words of my mouth be pleasing in your sight, my rock and my salvation. Amen. I had an absolutely wonderful week. Sherry did too. We got a really nice suite. We shared it with Jim and Burry, and we had a living room in the middle, and after all of our program, we went up and invited various people in, and we just had a wonderful time together. You know, at these retreats, we would like to see engaging program, engaging conversation, and good food. We usually settle for 2 out of the 3. This time we had 3 squared. Everything was amazing. It was powerful, powerful stuff. Usually we have somebody come from a long ways away, pay him a big bucks, him or her, to come and lecture to us for 3 hours, and they usually have a book to sell in the lobby. This year we decided, well, our design team said, you know, we've got a lot of wisdom in our midst. We're going to have TED's Talks. Now, how many of you have seen TED Talks on the internet? A few of you. You watch those and wonder, wow, things are happening. It's about technology and design and things in science. Well, we had TED's Talk. That was theology, emerging congregations, diversity, and spirituality. And the talks took us from one lady who told us about loneliness and how deep that is, and it should be a major part of ministry because, let's face it, everybody knows loneliness. Sometimes we know it far too well, too much of the time. All the way to a fellow who talked about the book of Revelation and gave us some clues to a whole new way of looking at that and the history of the Hebrew and the Christian people, and how that history may not be exactly what we've learned. So everything in between, and we learned a lot, and we discussed a lot, and we had a worship service at the end with communion, and there were tears in my eyes. There was a feeling flowing through me. And after taking communion, I stepped over, they had little bowls of oil, and I was blessed with the oil, and the ache in my shoulder just washed away. That's what happened. Now, the ache in my shoulder and neck are back, but that's just because I think Satan doesn't like to let go of these things. And it's easy to slip into other problems. Problems that are, well, like the Gentiles. We always think in terms of power and privilege and control. And James and John are asking for places next to Jesus, left and right, when you come into your power. It's what we do. But Jesus came to turn everything upside down, which is right side up for God. Everything upside down. It was not about power, it's about love. It's not about being served, it's about being the servant. And it's Jesus who is on his knees washing the feet of the disciples. Now, there are a lot of people who want to say that the man is the head of the wife, the way Jesus is the head of the church. And those men are thinking pyramid, and they forget how Jesus is the head of the church and how he needs to be the head of his wife. On her feet, washing her feet, or taking out the garbage, or not yelling, or letting go of the control that's underneath it, everything. Washing feet. Our whole world is based on the Gentile way. I mean, can you imagine Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump washing feet? Yeah, everybody's laughing about that one. Because it won't happen. In fact, it'd be interesting if some of this horse race, one of those people would make that a point and have a time during a rally when the people came forward so he could wash their feet and ask them, what do you need? How can I serve you? Oh, I know the news media would just have a heyday with it. They'd just be blown away. How dare there be a combination of religion and state? Because we don't want that. We want the state to be perfectly all right with what we do politically. And then we come to church, we sit in the nice sanctuary, stained glass, beautiful light, wonderful songs, crazy preacher. And we think about it for maybe an hour, and then we go have a bite to eat, and, well, we're back in the real world. Jesus wants us to turn the world upside down. He wants us to face the unusual, because haven't you noticed, if you think back on your life, the times when God was closest, when God broke in and touched you and blessed you beyond belief, were the times when you were upside down and everything was unusual. At the communion service, at the end of our time together, the fellow preaching told this story. He went by his daughter's college town and gave her a call and said, why don't we go out and eat together? I'd like to have some Mexican. She says, well, there's a Mexican place just next to my apartment building. So they went to the Mexican place. The server came up and says, I recognize you. You like iced tea. Would you like iced tea? He said, yes. And he turned to his daughter, the preacher's daughter, and he says, unusual for you? And she says, dude, this is my dad. You wonder what her usual was. She ordered a Coke. I don't suppose that was her usual. It made him uncomfortable, knowing that his daughter's usual was something she didn't want to drink in front of her dad. He said, lots of things make me uncomfortable. His story's like mine. Started off in this crazy preacher thing, not knowing one thing about it. Everything was strange. Everything I did was clumsy and stupid, and I felt like I couldn't handle it. But I spent 30 years getting used to it, and I got it down pretty good now. Don't tell me we're supposed to meet around tables and draw pictures while somebody's talking. Don't tell me that the church should meet in a bar on Wednesday night, because I'm used to this. This is what I do, and I don't want to change. I don't want everything turned upside down in my life. I want to sit at Jesus' left or right and have it right the way it always has been. Yeah. But God keeps calling us to not be like the Gentiles. I take Gentiles as anything out there that doesn't understand the difference between power and love. We all have a tough time with that. I remember one lady, I was talking with her, and she was heading down that last stretch. She knew it. She knew she didn't have very long at all in this world. And she was busy telling all of her kids, well, at my funeral, you do this, and you do that, and we're going to sing this song, and this song, and this song, and don't you dare have this in a church. You have it out at the graveside. Heard that one a lot. You have it at the graveside, and you all stand out there, unless it's cold, in which case don't even have it. Don't bother with it. And one of the sons said, Mom, what will you be doing? And she said, nothing. You don't have to control it, Mom. It's hard to do. You've been a mom ever since you were in your 20s, maybe sooner, and you've learned how to do it. You know the usual way. Mom's in charge. Mom's the doctor. Mom's the cook. Mom's the bottle washer. Mom is the worker as well. What does Dad do anyway? He stays out of Mom's hair. That's what he does. And now you come to a point where you can no longer control, because love for you has been about control, and it's snuck over occasionally into power. The man who wants to be the head of his family the way Christ is the head of the church wants it for the power, the Gentile way. And Jesus is saying, no, turn it upside down. Give the love first. Give it all. You know, we're all going to wind up at a point where we're going to lose our lives. Why don't we lose everything else first? Give it away. Give it away. In love, in care. Not for your own, well, not for their sake, but for your own sake. Let go of it. This is the fifth story in a list of what Mark has done. Started with the question about divorce. It's all about property. Jesus shot that down. The children who aren't worried about property and stuff, they enter the kingdom. To the man who has a lot of property and stuff and wants to enter the kingdom, Jesus says, give it away. The disciples say, look, we gave it all away. And Jesus says, great, you have it. You already have it. Give more away. And then, after he has said that the first shall be last and the last shall be first, that's when James and John come up and ask, Lord, can we sit your left or your right? Didn't you guys hear? Did you have your iPod on too loud? Weren't you paying attention? It's not about sitting at the left and the right of the head tables, on the big dais up in the heavens. It's about on your knees, caring for others. Giving it away. Treating people not as property, but as yourself. What was Jesus' 2 commandments? One, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and might. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, I love God. And then you got to love your as if that's yourself. As if what's in you is what's in them. As if you don't want anything to happen to you that's bad, so why'd you do it to them? Turning it upside down and caring first. It'll be remarkable how much power and control you really have because you care first. Not like the Gentiles.